Hi there, this is Chris, Chapping the Cap Motor Legends. Today I want to talk to you about a brand new helmet from the Scorpion brand. It's an adventure helmet and it's called the ADF 9000. Truth be told, here at Motor Legends we don't offer a huge variety of different helmets. We don't even stock very many brands. For us, Shoei and Arai stand head and shoulders above all the other helmets. In truth, we'd probably only sell those two brands if we thought we could get away with it, but not everybody clearly is going to fit into a Shoei or an Arai, and not everybody can afford one. Which is why we also, I suppose, offer a couple of models from both Shark and from Schuberth. For us, one of the main criteria has always been the ability to tailor fit a helmet. That's, after all, is one of the reasons that people come from all over the country to visit Motor Legends. The problem is that the brands that I've mentioned aside, not many manufacturers offer that facility. Now, for some time, the importer has been trying to impress upon us the quality of Scorpion's helmets, but the inability to change the cheek pads and the liners on those helmets has always been a bit of a stumbling block. But we've decided to take on a helmet from Scorpion for two reasons. The first is, the helmet we're going to be talking about today is one of the few proper adventure helmets that comes with a drop-down sun visor. The second is that we couldn't find a valid reason to dismiss their air-fit system that allows you to pump up the volume in the cheek pads. So, for our first foray into the world of Scorpion, let us tell you what we think about the ADF 9000. The outer shell of the ADF 9000 has what's known as a composite construction. Now, composite construction is a combination of carbon and other organic fibres. It's a construction that we would expect of all of the best helmets, so I'm thinking Shoei and I'm thinking Arai. Carbon helmets, by the way, are not better, they're not safer, they are just lighter, sometimes they're noisy, what they're always is more expensive. The ADF 9000 weighs in at about 1600 grams, and that's more or less what you'd expect of a helmet like this. Obviously, it passes the new ECE 2206 safety standard. Now, impressively, given the price point of the helmet, it comes in 3 different shell sizes. Now, both Schuberth and Shark helmets only come in 2 shell sizes, and it's the received wisdom that you really need 3 shell sizes to get a snug, proper, comfortable fit across all 6 head sizes. The ADF 9000 can be worn in a number of different configurations, so you can wear it with or without this peak. Take the peak off and it's going to look more like a road helmet. You can wear it with or without the visor. Once the visor's out, obviously you can put goggles in the aperture. But the problem sometimes with helmets like this is that the visor is not big enough to take proper off-road goggles. But that's not an issue here. The very largest Klim goggles can easily be accommodated within this aperture. There are no tools required for removing the visor. The visor just pulls out, you lift it and then you pull it out. The peak can be undone by hand. The visor comes with a 120 MaxVision Pinlock. One of the reasons that we were first drawn to the ADF 9000 was its drop-down sun visor. Some of the more established manufacturers have been slow perhaps to recognise the importance of this feature on an adventure helmet. Obviously, Arai with their Tour X4 or upcoming Tour X5 will never fit a sun visor because, well, Arai's Arai and they don't fit sun visors. But even Shoei has allowed design dogma to rule its thinking. Now, adventure bike riders want gear that is going to work for them as well in the Mojave Desert as on the M25. Most adventure bikers, of course, never stray very far from metal surfaces. And if this is where you do your riding, a sun visor can come in mighty handy. Now, the drop visor on the ADF 9000, it's got to be admitted, is a little bit clunky. It's a million miles from the beautifully engineered détente mechanism that you get on a Shark helmet, but it works, albeit in this slightly, as I've suggested, binary fashion. It's either up or it's down. Because this is a helmet that's been designed to take off-road goggles, it's got a larger than normal visor. The byproduct of that is that it's going to give a pretty decent field of view. Interestingly, the helmet comes with a second tinted visor in the box, and that's got to be said, is a nice touch. Venting on the helmet is pretty much what you'd expect. Here on the brow, you've got 2 adjustable open and close inlets. On the front of the nose, you've got a rocker switch here that opens a vent that is designed to throw air on the inside of the visor to stop it fogging up. You've then got two mesh vents here on either side of this rocker switch, and they are controlled by a switch on the inside of the helmet. At the back of the helmet, you've got a permanently open exhaust vent. We cannot see that there's ever a need to have an exhaust vent that can be closed. You want it either open or closed, depending on whether the air is coming in or not. The venting, I think, on this helmet is going to do a reasonable job, but in truth, I don't think it's anything particularly special, nothing particularly innovative. Other features on the ADF 9000 include emergency release cheek pads. You've also got a fairly decent chin curtain with a facility that I'll come back and talk about later. The helmet also has a facility whereby you can remove this rocker switch from the front of the helmet here, take that out, and you can replace it with a fitment that is going to enable you to mount an action camera onto the nose of the helmet. And mounting an action camera here is always much wiser than mounting an action camera on the shell of a helmet. These days, a lot of people are concerned about the noise that is generated by a helmet. Now, I've not been out and ridden in this helmet because, to tell the truth, I always find those tests meaningless. If this were quiet for me, it doesn't mean it's going to be quiet for anybody else. I think from what we can see with the helmet, it's going to be quieter than some. But if you really want a quiet helmet, you'd go out and get a flip lid, something like the Shoei Neotech or the Schuberth C5, or even a full face sport touring helmet. The reason that an adventure helmet is always going to be a little bit noisy is because it's got this extended chin bar. And with that extended chin bar, that's going to allow more air to come in. It's designed to allow more air in because the theory is with a helmet like this, you're going to be working hard off-road. You want to be able to expel air. But when you've got that facility, you're also going to be able to allow more air to come in. Air that comes into the helmet and reaches the ears is noise, obviously. I think it's just a matter of horses for courses. But if you want all the features of a helmet like this at a price like this, you might just have to invest in a set of earplugs. Now, in terms of comms, the helmet has deep recesses for speakers, and that's a good thing. They'll be able to take pretty much any speaker. As a company, we tend to prefer to work with Sena because that's the brand that is used by all of the major helmet brands. But actually, we would prefer to fit to a helmet like this a Sena-powered UCOM unit from Interphone, as they're so much more compact than Sena's own units. Which brings us finally to issues of comfort and fit and so on. We think the internal shape of the ADF 9000 is quite oval. It seems to us a little bit more Shoei-like than Shark-like. But we're going to have to spend some time with customers. This is, after all, our very first Scorpion. We're going to have to spend some time with customers, trying it on customers to become or to get a view as to what the fit is really like. What has to be borne in mind is that a fit is not just about whether it's round or whether it's oval. There's also the internal architecture. So it will take us a while putting it on different customers' heads before we come to a view as to who is going to work best in a helmet like this or in this helmet. The interior padding has a kind of substance to it. It has a reassuring feel in the way that, for example, the lining is in a helmet like the Klim Krios Pro simply doesn't. The lining is perforated for added breathability. There's a plushness to the feel of the lining, but I suppose I would say that we're still not in Shoei territory here. But undoubtedly, the ADF 9000's USP is its airfit system. There's a red pump inside the chin, just below the vent slider, and when you press it repeatedly, air will be pumped into the cheek pads to tighten the fit, so it's equivalent to changing the cheek pads from a 35 to a 39, for example, in a Shoei. When we first saw this system some years ago, we thought it wasn't the real deal. We kind of felt it was cheating, and we were not convinced. Yet looking at it now with fresh eyes, it seems to work pretty well. And in most cases, I think this system is going to allow us to achieve the chipmunk cheek effect that we seek. When you want to release pressure, there's a plunger also behind the chin. You press that and the air will escape out of the cheek pads. Interestingly, there's a split in the chin curtain that's going to allow you to put your fingers up and either pump it up or release the pressure. What the system doesn't do, however, it only works one way. It's going to allow you to pump up the cheek pads to make it tighter. It doesn't allow us to create a situation where we can have thinner cheek pads than standard. Still, I suppose nothing's perfect. We can be, we admit, here at Motor Legends, somewhat helmet snobs. We do not like and we do not trust cheap helmets. Now, some people suggest that because helmets all pass the same standard, be that the 2205 standard or the 2206 standard, that they all perform the same. They will all protect you to the same standard. But that's a little bit like saying that all motorbikes perform the same because they can all pass the same MOT. Clearly, not all helmets are the same. Some are more protective and some are better made. They are just better quality. As a company, we tend to have greater faith in those brands that work with MotoGP and supply MotoGP riders. And that's because those companies have to meet the higher FIM standard. Now, in the past, we have dropped lots of helmet brands over concerns of quality and fit. We take helmets particularly seriously, and we don't take on new brands lightly. We've been talking to Scorpion about their helmets for about 3 or 4 years. If you like what you've seen, and if our customers find that their helmets are satisfactory, we may well take on other Scorpion helmets. I have to say that the ADF 9000 seems to tick a lot of boxes. But let's be clear, it's not an Arai, it's not a Shoei, but we still think it's a good helmet, and obviously it offers fantastic value for money. What we are hopeful is that the AirFit system will allow us to achieve that snug chipmunk cheek fit that we always seek. But what the ADF 9000 offers that many adventure helmets don't is that drop-down sun visor. And once you've had a drop-down sun visor, say on a road helmet, you're always going to want one. Now, finally, the price. The helmet goes from £300 to £330, depending on whether it's a plain colour or a graphic. And for that, it seems to me that you get lots of bells and whistles. If you cannot justify the cost of an Arai or a Shoei, the ADF 9000 may certainly be worth a look. Well, I hope you found that interesting. If you'd like to see more adventure helmets, then visit the website motorlegends.com. If you'd like to learn more about the ADF 9000 in particular, then if you click on one of the links on the screen, sometimes they're up there, sometimes they're down there, that will take you directly to a dedicated page on the website. When you're there, you can check out the spec in a little bit more detail, you can check on availability, and obviously if you want to buy one of the helmets, you can do that there and then. Now, when you buy from us, we try to make the process simple, straightforward and risk-free as we possibly can. There's no delivery charge on any item of protective wear that you buy from us. Returns are totally free, and what's more, we give you a full 12 months in which to decide whether you want to return something to us. We have the best price promise in the business. Now, John Lewis was rightly famed for its never knowingly undersold price promise. We go one stage better. If you can find anyone selling anything that we sell at a price that is lower than ours, we will beat that competitor's price by a full 10%. Now, there are a few terms and conditions associated with what we call our price beat. Nothing particularly onerous that I can assure you, but if you are going to try to price beat us, I suggest you go over to the website and check out what those terms and conditions are. If in the future you'd like to receive bulletins from us about new product launches, then again, if you go to the website, at the top of the page, there's a piece of script that says newsletter sign up. Click on that, within seconds you'll be in business. If, however, you prefer to get your information videographically, that is to say in this form, we'd be simply delighted if you want to become a subscriber to our YouTube channel, and you can do that by clicking on the button below. Finally, I'd like to make mention of our fabulous little shop here at Motor Legends. We're based about a mile from the centre of Guildford, a mile from the railway station. And as I've suggested, it's a small shop, it's got a small footprint, but it's attached to our warehouse where we have some £5 million worth of stock arranged over 3 floors. And technically that makes us the second largest motorcycle apparel store in the UK. But we think that we are far more than just the amount of merchandise to be found here in the building. We're all about service, we're all about personal fitting. If you want to check us out, visit Trustpilot. We have the highest 5-star ranking in the business. When you come and see us, we'll serve you only the finest Italian illy coffee, or we'll serve you proper Yorkshire tea in a proper teapot. And who knows, if you're lucky, you might even get to sample one of our delicious motorcycle-shaped shortbread biscuits. Anyway, this has been Chris. I hope to talk to you again soon.